It was exactly who he would have expected to see in the crowd on Roldham's docks. Looking down from above, the soaring bird saw in the press of the crowd that another man moved along a parallel course, and at the same pace as the young noble. The bird circled and observed the second man, a tall traveller with dark hair, who moved like a predator, easily keeping his eye upon the other man, but using passers-by as cover, dodging effortlessly through the crowd, never falling behind, but never getting close enough to be discovered. The young noble was fair-skinned but sun-browned, his blue eyes squinting against the day's glare. It was late summer in Roldham, and the dawn mists and fog had fled, burned off by mid-morning to a brilliant sunny sky, made tolerable by a light wind off the sea. Trudging up the hill from the harbour, the noble whistled a nameless tune as he sought out his old quarters, a 3-bedroom flat above a moneylender's home. He knew he was being followed, for he was as adept a hunter as any man living. Talon of the Silver Hawk, last of the Orsini, servant of the Conclave of Shadows, had returned to Roldham. Here he was Talwyn Hawkins, distant cousin to Lord Seljan Hawkins, Baron of the Prince's Court in Crondor. His title was Squire of Morgan River and Bell Castle, Baronet of Silverlake, estates producing almost no income, and he was vassal to the Baron of Illith, a former banneret knight-lieutenant under the command of the Duke of Yabon. Tal Hawkins was a man of some rank and little wealth. For almost 2 years he had been absent from the scene of his most significant public triumph, winning the tournament at the Master's Court, thus earning the title of world's greatest swordsman. Cynical, despite his youth, he tried to keep the illusion of superiority in perspective. He had been the best of the several hundred entrants who had come to Roldham for the contest, but that hardly convinced him he was the best in the world. He had no doubt there was some soldier on a distant battlement, or mercenary riding guard duty somewhere, who could cut him up for fish bait, given the chance. But fortunately they hadn't entered the contest. For a brief instant, Tal wondered if fate would allow him to return to Roldham in 3 years' time to defend that championship. He was but 23 years of age, so it would only be circumstance that would prevent him from returning to Roldham. Should he do so, he hoped the contest would be less eventful than the last. 2 men had died by his sword during the matches, a very rare and usually regrettable outcome. Nevertheless, Tal had felt no regret, since one of the men had been among those responsible for the destruction of his nation, and the other had been an assassin sent to kill him. Memories of assassins turned his mind to the man following him. The other man had also boarded at Salador, yet had managed to avoid direct contact with him aboard the small ship for the duration of the voyage, despite there being nearly 2 weeks at sea. The bird wheeled overhead, then pulled up, wings flapping as it hovered, legs extended downward and tail fanned, as if watching prey. With its telltale cry, the predator announced its presence. Hearing the familiar screech, Tal looked up, then hesitated for a moment, for the bird above the throng was a silver hawk. It was his spirit guide, and had given him his naming vision. For an instant Tal imagined he could see the creature's eyes and hear a greeting. Then the bird wheeled and flew away. "Do you see that?" asked a porter nearby. "Never seen a bird do that." Tal said, "Just a hawk." "Never seen hawk that colour. Leastways not round here," answered the porter, who took one look at where the bird had hovered, then returned to lugging his bundle.